Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to continue coding Pokedude. And where we left off, we had started to explore some of the animate features. So the animate feature is kind of a neat feature in Pygame 0 that allows you to tell somebody how to move, an actor how to move. And so we made an animation to kind of bring about an introduction. And so here's the deal. First, you have to tell it, what are we animating? The function's name is animate. I'm animating myself. Tween means what do I do in between, basically. I'm not sure why they call it tween. That's how it will animate. So I did bounce start end on this actor. And then we tell it where to go to, and that's the animation. So it'll animate its way to there, and that's like the targets for what it will reach. So and we also went ahead and wrote a hit method for our actor, and I actually want to change the name of this from hit to simply option 1. Okay, so we're going to change the name from hit to option 1, and we changed the image of our Pokedude to their attacking image. We then animate them going towards them and call the self.return home after it. So we're using the onFinished keyword, which says when this animation is done, what do you want me to do next? And we called return home, which is another animation that returns home. And I worked through and I made a weapon animation as well, because I thought that was kind of fun. But that's the last animating I'm going to do, because you have to keep writing all these different methods to use the animate function properly. And it's going to take away, I think, from kind of the fun. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go ahead and add a little bit more to our water Pokedude. And I'll show you the animation so you know how I do it. But then I'm going to tell you that we don't need to do any more animating for the rest of the code that you're going to do. We're just going to do some text. So I'll demonstrate that. Okay? So in our fight right now, we have on key down as the only option here. And I don't want that to be that way, because we're going to be having different options. So instead, I want it to be if. Actually, hold on. I got to figure out where we are in this thing. Have we made a class fight? Okay, we have. P1 turn. Okay, good. So what we're going to do, instead of just every time you hit a key that it fights, we're going to add a little bit of logic to this. If key is equal to keys.k_1, then I'll say if it is player 1's turn. So P1 turn is a variable in the game class, or in the fight class, which we're calling game, P1 turn. So remember, our game is a fight here, okay? So if it's player 1's turn, then we're going to say game.player1.option1. That's what they've chosen. And who are they going to perform it on? Player 2. Else, I'll say game.player2.option1. Game.player1. So either player 1 will call option 1 on player 2, or player 2 will call option 1 on player 1. Either way, we're going to change the turn. So we'll set game.player1 to false, okay? And we'll set game.player1's turn to true in this case. So if it is player one's turn, this is saying if game.player1 turn, that means does that equal true? Is it true there? I don't have to do the equals true though. I can just say if game.player1 turn. So if that's the case, then I'm going to call the command for player 1 because player 1 did it, and then turn off being player 1's turn. Otherwise, I'll call the command for player 2, and then turn game.player1 turn to true. So then at this point we should have. All right, so I accidentally put L here. Make sure you put P1 turn, or that won't work. So at this point, you should have a working animation for how you can run to the other side. And I don't need these anymore. And it should alternate every time they play one. It should be a different player's turn, and you'll see which player's turn it is written in your menu. Now that's kind of how the animations work. Notice that we're calling option 1 when we select 1. And in order to animate, though, you really need to have at least 2 methods because you have to have another method you could call when you're done. So I am going to show you next how to write an option 2, but we are going to do it text-based and animation-based, okay? So currently, the default option is just blank, like it's not available. It doesn't do anything. So we're going to we're gonna add some more methods to our Pokedude class. So right now, what if somebody pressed 2? Well, we're gonna say we're gonna call that option 2. And it's yourself and then your opponent, which we're calling other, and we're just going to say pass. We're going to say def option 3 is also self and my opponent other, also pass. And then def option 4 is self, other, and then pass. So currently, if you are a default Pokedude, let me tell you, those are bad options for you to choose because you're literally passing the turn. We have to have something written in each method, so we just say pass, meaning skip it, okay? So those options will not be available because the only default every Pokedude can hit, but they can't do these other things because they're not skilled enough, okay? So we'll go down now to our on key down, and what we're going to do is we're basically just, you can copy and paste if you're really careful, okay? And say elif if the key that was pressed is key number 2, that's capital K underscore 2, then you're going to call the option 2, okay? And then we're going to continue this again, and we're going to change that to key 3, and we're going to call option 3, okay? And then we're going to do it one more time. We're going to have an option for key 4, okay? So they have 4 different options they can choose from. When you run the Pokedude application, now these are 2 water Pokedudes, right? But they only currently have, that's all the Pokedude has. We haven't added any of their options. So I can hit, because that's a default behavior, and I can also do 2, which does nothing. And you'll see now it's player 1's turn. Player 1 does 3, it does nothing. Does 4, it does nothing. Because those options are not good choices for these Pokedudes. Okay? All right. Okay, before we before we go any further, since we're going to be using some mana, we need to draw some more information on our screen to make it more useful. So what we're going to do is we're going to write another function. We're going to be adding this to our application functions, but this won't be one that's automatically called for us. So we're going to say def draw info, which just takes in a player, okay? And the draw info is simply going to draw to the text, draw some text to the screen. And I've already got it typed up, so I'm kind of cheating here and copy and paste it. But I'll go through and explain it. So, given a player P, we're going to draw to the screen the H. We're going to say literally the word HP. Then we'll string, to convert to string, that player's HP. /n makes a new line. So this will now go down a line and do their power. We'll then string as player power. And then we'll do their mana and string the player's mana. Then we'll do their, well, again, /n makes a new line, defense. We'll do their defense. And every time you call the string.text, you have to tell Pygame where to draw it. So we're going to take the X location of the player and the bottom of the player for their Y coordinate. So it should write it right below the player. Okay? And we're going to call that with, at each stage of our game, we're going to call that right here before we say player one go. We're going to say draw info game.player1 and draw info game.player2, and that will draw it. So here's that method one more time. Okay, so at this moment you should have data about your Pokedudes presented under them. We have the ability to hit. That was an animation. The animation, y'all, it's kind of neat and fun, but it can be a little bit overwhelming, because you have to have the two different methods to make it work. So I'm not going to require that, but I wanted you to do it if you think it's fun. With you today, I'd like to make a second option that is pertaining only to the water Pokedude, okay? So that's going to be the ability for the water Pokedude to let's do like a water missile, okay? So let's see how we do that. So first of all, when we make a water Pokedude, the water Pokedude will have an options. So let's go up and look at because water Pokedude is a Pokedude, they get self.options here on line 21. We then set every Pokedude's option 1 to hit. The others are left unaltered from their default value of blanks. So it's time for us to override that. We're going to say self.options.option2. Let's change it to water jet. This will be a jet of water punishing the other opponent. Each one of our options, regardless of whether you're water Pokedude, earth Pokedude, or whatever, each of our attacks or choices are all called the same thing. Option 1, Option 2, Option 3, Option 4. Option 1 will always be hit. But Option 2 is currently blank. It doesn't do anything. Well, we're going to change that now by writing the method option 2 that is performed between ourself and the other. This is an override. Remember, a water Pokedude is a Pokedude, so we already had this method, but it doesn't do anything. Now we're going to override it. First off, we need to have mana to generate from the Aether, this jet of punishing water. So we need to have mana. If you don't have enough mana, well, guess what? You just wasted a turn. The word return means leave from here and go back. It's almost like the pass. It simply says, nope, we're not going to do this at all. Go back where you came from. But if they do have 4 or more mana, we're going to take some mana from them. So self.mana minus equals 4. So they lose 4 mana. As you can see, if they had 4, they'll now be down to 0. So that's the lowest you can have. And what we're going to do is we're going to calculate an effectiveness. Okay? So we're going to say effectiveness, or just effect is probably a good abbreviation. And we're going to use randomness. So if I'm going to use randomness, guess what I got to do? I got to import it. Yeah, I've got to be able to have that available to me. So let's go on back up here where we import PGZ run, and let's import the random module. Now, we can import the entire module like I did there. We could also say from random, import randint, which might be nice. So I can do that, and then I have to say random.rand. So if I'm going to get a random integer, now I have to say random.randint every time. If I do this, I can say from random, import randint. Now all I have to do is say that. So let's do that. Let's do the from random import randint. And we'll go back down now. We're to our option 2 that we're doing in the water Pokedude class. So we're going to say the effectiveness is a random integer. And I want this to be, I have to give it 2 numbers. Now, I could say something like 6 and 12, but that doesn't take into account the Pokedude's power. As this Pokedude climbs in power, if they're like, what they call a sparkly, rare Pokedude, these numbers should get higher. So we're going to take their power. So remember, each Pokedude has a power, a mana, and a defense, along with their HP. Well, we're going to take their power and we're going to divide it by 2 with an integer division. So remember, 2 slashes means whole number division. So, for example, if my power was 7, this would result in the value of 3, because 3 goes in the 2 goes into 7 3 times. You don't use the 0.5. But we're also going to say self.power times 2. So this means that when the water Pokedude does the water jet of death, actually, you know what? That's a pretty good name. I'm going to add that to, water jet of death. There we go. When the water jet of death is called, is a chance it would actually be less powerful than just hitting. So if their strength is 10, the power could only be 5, but it could also be up to 20. So there's a bit of a risk involved in this play, just depending, right? So let's calculate the damage. Well, how much damage that you do is based on the effect and then the other person's defense. And we could add more Pokedude characteristics like magical defense, and we could actually compare magical defense, but we're just keeping it simple right now. Now, if that damage is more than 0, if that damage is greater than 0, then we're going to hurt the other person. Now, if the damage was less than 0, this would actually be healing them by doing this. So I'm going to take the other's hit points, and I'm going to decrease it, okay? And that's it. That's all. So let's run it and let's try it. So you'll notice now player 1 now has the option Water Jet of Death. Now, right now we're looking at 2 water-based Pokedudes, but those options would change based on the different Pokedudes you have and the different methods they have. So player 1 might just choose the safe route and hit. Okay, Pokedude 2 over here lost 2 HP. Pokedude 2 says, it's time for me to bring out the big guns, and chooses option 2. And delivers a crushing blow. Pokedude 1 now has a hit point of only 6. Pokedude's 2 mana has decreased to 11. Well, that was pretty intense. That means we could probably figure out what number that was, because the defense of this is 8. Let's see here. It was any random integer from 5 to 20. Let's see if it was 16. Because we lost 9 points. So I think it must have been pretty intense. Like maybe a 17? A 17 power, 17 minus 8 is 9. Yeah. So it was a 17. Definitely a powerful strike. Okay, Pokemon 1 says, okay, now I need to bring out the big guns. Oh, and it's another crushing blow. And let's see here. Pokedude 2 will also do Water Jet of Death. And what happened? Oh, it was not very powerful. We'll try it back again. And that one wins. Gets him in the negatives. We'll handle death later. So that's how that goes. Now, you'll notice nothing happened. We didn't animate anything, right? But I'm going to argue that it was still fun. Okay? If you want to print if you want to print this information, you can print it straight to the console. That's fine. We can mix console and not. We can say print. What kind of water Pokedude is this? Whatever the name of this water Pokedude deals water jet damage of, and then you just put STR damage, okay? And then else, if the damage was not greater than 0, you can just print water jet fails to work. I don't know. I'm running out of creativity, but you could do better than that with me. So now we're adding a little bit of color, a little bit of flavor to the action, but we're still not animating, and I will show you how to do that. So I'll print it. All right, we did a deals water damage 5. Let's see here, 6 that time. It is quite possible to get no damage though. 10, 5. Oh, well, at this point I'm out of mana, so I can't. I'm just passing. And so that might be interesting to actually add that when someone in this situation here, you can print, you're out of mana. Or, water Pokedude is too tired to perform this move, Bad play, right? So that's a nice way to do it. But it's not the only way we have to do it, because we also have the ability to draw to our screen, right? We could just say something like screen.draw. because that should be a global variable. Actually, you know what? This requires too much here, so we're not going to do that. Just go back. Just leave it at print for now. I think printing is just fine. Trying to write it to the actual screen would require us playing with our animation. If you're curious about how I would do that, I would actually make like a global variable called action text out here, like where you have width and height, and I would update the action text in that call so that instead of printing, I'd say action text equals. And what I would do is I would always print. I would add that right here. So after I clear the screen, I would display the action text. If y'all want later on, I'll show you how I do that. But let's go ahead and animate it, okay? So I'm going to show you how to animate it, but absolutely this is not required at all for the kind of things you want to do. Just print descriptions, okay? So we have a weapon image. So right now, the weapons image is actually going to be set to empty by default. So we made a weapon earlier called empty. And the weapon, we're going to set its position to home. So let's say self. Okay, you probably are wondering where I am. I am way up in Pokedude again. Okay, going way back down to the generic Pokedude. And down here where we said self.weapon, we're going to say self.weapon.pos for its position. Let's make it self.home. Okay? So that weapon is going to be at home right now, and that's going to make it look like it's generated from us. Okay, now that we've got that, let's go make ourselves our weapon fire. So we can use that actor to do some things now. So instead of doing this, when it's greater than 0, so if the effect is greater than 0, I'm gonna go ahead and animate, okay? I'm gonna say self.animation, because that's, remember, the animate returns an animation, so we're going to set the animation for this Pokedude to be animate self.weapon, and we're going to animate it to travel, and you could set the tween. I played around with accelerate, it looked cool, by saying tween equals, but I'll skip that for now. We're going to tell it the position we want it to go to, which is other.position. And then we're going to tell it what to do on finished, because we want to finish this, okay? And I need a method that tells it what to do when finished to reset it. So I'm just going to call that reset water jet. Okay? You're also allowed to give it a duration. I think the default is 1 second, so I'll just stick with that. So we're going to be what are we animating? Our weapon, the weapon belonging to this Pokedude. Where are we animating it to? The position of the other Pokedude. What will we do when finished? Because it's just going to sit there. We're going to reset it. On the line above this animate call, though, I realized I forgot to tell you we need to change the image. You know, we need to give it an image so that we could see it. So what the image that we're going to be doing is, and I think I included this the other day. I'm not sure. Y'all let me know if you have this. If you don't, I will upload it. But weapon.image, and I use like water pistol, I think is what I called it, because I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it, but it's water jet. And that's just a kind of a rinky-dink little image. I don't know if I uploaded it or not, but I made it like in Paint 3D, just with some blue circle stuff. Let's see here. Pygame 0. No, I'm in the OOP unit. Pokedude, images. So yeah, that's my water pistol right there. You can make that yourself, okay? I mean, it's just some blue, just a PNG image called water pistol, okay? And I have that there so that I can use it. So I set the image to water pistol. So what is the reset going to do? Because if we currently run it, we're just going to make a water pistol. It's going to sit there and just be stuck on the other player. We need to reset it when we're done. So after the animation is done, it's going to run reset water jet, I think is what we called it. Yeah, reset water jet. When these methods, though, you can't put any parameters, so it has to be completely empty. And I'm just going to set self.weapon.image back to empty so we don't see it. Self.weapon.position back to my position. That's it. And so if you want to animate each one of your actions, you just need to animate it and then write a method that resets it. That's pretty much it. And you're welcome to use that actor, the weapon actor we made, and you can use it for anything. You could even yeah, I mean, just for any kind of thing you want to make it look like. It's just about a picture. All right, well, that being said, let's take a look at what it looks like now that we've got this animated. We got our cool little hoppy intro. And it doesn't like it. What is it? What did I do? It says self.function equals tween functions tween. It doesn't like the order that I gave them in, I guess, because I didn't do a tween. I think maybe if I just say that POS equals other.POS, that'll probably let it know what I mean. Let's see if that's what it. Let's see if it likes that better. Oh, water jet failed to work. I'll be darned. Failed to work. All right, I finally did some damage. Well, I'm not seeing it though. It's doing something, but I'm not seeing it. So my code's still not good. Oh my goodness. Am I not drawing it? Are you right? Are we not drawing? Oh, way to go, Sean. Good man. So we need to draw these things each time. Yep, there it is. We're not drawing them. They're actors. They need to be drawn. Oh, P2.weapon. And I could even see us having like a secondary weapon if you want to have different weapons that do different things, I guess. But for the most part, you might only need one weapon because you can animate it with different pictures any way you want. All right, we're going to try that again. This has been anticlimactic. Hey! Whoops. There it goes. So when the water jet fails to work, it just sits in front of them. That's funny. I actually kind of like it. Wonder why that happened, though. Because I thought I only... Oh, no, I did that here. Yeah. So we go ahead and change the image. If we're going to not have it work, we should do some sort of animation. We could just miss. That would be cool. I think I'm going to do that, actually. So if we have no damage, I'm going to just miss. So how would I miss? Well, I have the target position, other position. I'm going to make the target position like, let's say other.x, other.y, Y, or let's do bottom plus 20. So that should go below them because the bigger number, they get bigger going down. Now that I want to actually test what happens when the water jet fails, I bet it'll never fail. Hit. 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 What did I tell you? Hey, we had a miss. Did you see it? It went below the other one. Okay, that was fun. Okay, so I was worried about this animate stuff getting too complicated, but I'm actually not so sure it is that bad. It's just when you animate, you've got to have something to reset it. So that's my option 2. What I want to do is also add to make sure that the game is over when one of the Pokedudes is dead. I would like to also have, some healing ability for our Pokedudes to heal. And we still got another option. Right? So our water Pokedude's got to have that 4th option. But you're welcome to subclass water Pokedude and make it to where there's even another subclassification of Pokedude and gives you that 4th option to vary. But you could also write out all 4 and then, you can always subclass. That's the thing. You can always override the different options. Okay? So I'll tell you, let's do a heal. That'll be option 3. Option 3. And we got to have other. We got to have other because we call it that way every time, okay? We're just not going to use it. When you're healing, we're just not going to use this other. But we got to have that or else it won't match the signature here, okay? So, how do we heal? Well, we don't have like a particular magical power, but we have mana, we have defense, we have power. We could use some sort of combination of that. I'm going to use power. Okay, so I'm going to say, healing's pretty intense, right? So you got to have like 5 mana. If self.mana is less than 5, guess what? Oh, you don't need parentheses in Python. Hold on. If it's less than 5, boom, you wasted it. Bad move. And, I'm starting to think our description should actually include mana. Like, that's making me think of that. Water Jet of Death. How much mana did it was for? I'm going to say 4 mana. There we go. That's good for us. Let's do another option. Self.options.option 3 equals heal. And that's 4 mana. 5 mana. We need to be able to be, upfront in our pricing, right? Okay, so back to option 3. Self.mana is less than 5. Otherwise, we're going to increase our health. Self.power. There it is. So we are going to take our power and we are going to heal ourselves that amount. And that's it. Now, if you want to do an animation, we played around with the different things. We could, I don't know what you could do. You could add another image. You could change it to like a special heal image. You could take your water jet and like zoom it around yourself. And in fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to say, because I can't help myself. So self.weapon.image, and this is really just a sprite for me, okay? So I'm going to call it water pistol again, because the last time the water pistol hurt people, now it's going to help people. And I'm going to say self.animation equals animate self.weapon And I just wanted to kind of like jumble around, you know. I think what I'll do is that tween that we did earlier that's like bounce at start, end. And I'm going to send the position to self dot. I think it's like bottom, center bottom, or bottom center. I know, I got to check the documentation. Hold on. Mid bottom. Self dot mid bottom. So we're going to send it there. On finished. We're going to do self dot reset water jet. I've already got it all ready for me. So yeah, all right, there you go. I have a heal animation. Okay, so you see we've got our heal options. I'm gonna throw a water jet at them. He says, "Oh man, that hurt. I better 3 heal." Ah, I healed. Water jet of death. Better heal. Water jet of death. Better heal. Oh wait, I can just keep healing because you know what? I forgot to make it cost any mana. Dang. All right, let's go back to that. I was about to say, man, he's winning this fight. Self.mana, you got to take that down. -=5. And you may need to play with these. You know, you're familiar with the fact that sometimes you have to nerf characters. You might accidentally make an extraordinarily powerful Pokedude. And if you do, you know, a legendary Pokedude, you know, ideally, what you want to do is make somebody have to conquer a Pokedude in the wild and make it just like ridiculously OP, and then they get that Pokedude and it's just not that powerful at all. All right. I think that's all I want to do. What I want you to do is to, I say that, but no, we got to handle death. So we'll do that. Although, you know, you could just say, hey, if you're negative, game over, I win. But you need to make at least 3 other Pokedude classes. Okay? Like we did a water, you need to do some other ones. So how do we have a fight? Well, we could program an app that asks the players what Pokedude they want and all that stuff. That would all be here in the fight. We could even do like get input from the keyboard to see. But for now, you just change the class. If you make an Earth, put Earth right here. Okay? You know, you can make this as finished a product as you want, or it can be just a proof of concept, right? Whatever, till you get bored with it, you know? Because some of that stuff is kind of tedious. So basically, the update method would be what you'd want to use. Probably the on key down. So after the on key down, you can check for life here, and you can see. Because we could just quit the game. You could have a Boolean in the game that is like running. That would probably be the best value, I'd say. We could make it to where you can just keep, you know, pummeling the other person's body as long as you want, but they can't do anything if they're dead. So you would just say here, like, if game.player1turn and game.p1.hp greater than 0. You add that into it, and then these then they can't do anything here. But you'd have to make this else if. You'd have to say elif game.p1.p2.hp. So that would be one thing we could do. I would probably just nip it in the bud here. And after each on key down, I would check something and do like a display when someone loses and have this here and say like if game.player1.hp is less than or equal to 0 or game.player2.hp is less than or equal to 0, return. At that point now, you essentially have paused the game. You probably want to update the text, but it's just I want you practicing and making different weapons, and I want each weapon to be different. The Earth class should not be using these kind of things. So let's see here. We're running out of mana. We're killing each other. Yeah, now nobody can do anything because you are dead. Also, like, it'd be nice to have them on the permanent hurt image if they're dead. You can probably figure out how to do that. I don't want to tell you too much. Everyone's at different levels. I know I'm going to get some really cool stuff. So do what you can. If you can animate, animate. If you want to just print to the board, print. But make sure you're subclassing, making at least a total of 4 different Pokemon. So excuse me, has someone throw Pokedudes. And let's have fun fighting and be able to play against each other.